Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kelvin Cullimore, President and CEO of BioUtah. It's our pleasure to present today a workshop on what is Biohive and how can you and your company become involved with this exciting new initiative. Biohive was announced at the Utah Life Science Summit, and it was intended to be a new branding initiative supported by BioUtah and by many, many others that you'll learn about today. We're pleased today to have with us Chris Gibson, CEO of Recursion Pharma, Jared Bauer, who is CEO of Ionic Sciences, as well as Cybus Biotechnologies, and Caitlin Roberts, who is with Line Logic. We know that these three people are key to the implementation of Biohive and are going to teach us today how we can all be involved and how we can contribute to this. Some have asked how this is being funded. Biohive is an initiative of BioUtah, and we are the administrators of the program, but the funding is being separated from BioUtah's funding, so it is separate, and we have successfully, thanks to Chris Gibson and Jared primarily and their efforts, raised in the low six figures to get this kicked off. And we will continue to make those efforts going forward. But that said, it does not cost anything to be part of Biohive. In fact, if you are listening today, you are already part of Biohive. Caitlin Roberts, is the CEO of Line Logic, but she's also going to serve as the interim executive director for the Biohive project and initiative. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Caitlin and have Caitlin, Jared, and Chris teach us today in this workshop about Biohive.
Thank you, Kelvin, and thank you to everybody who's tuned in. We are excited to share with you all more information about Biohive, the press and attention that we've already had disseminated through media, social networks has been great through our partners in this project, both private and public. I'm going to pass things over to Jared so we can really talk about what partnerships we have going, how you all that are already part of Biohive by virtue of being in life sciences or healthcare innovation or supporting those companies can get involved yourselves. We have Toolkit, we have logos that you can embrace, put on your website, really mark yourselves as being part of this larger community. So Jared, take it over, share with people what's going on at the Gateway, how people can really brand themselves as part of this larger initiative. And then we're going to talk through some of the core pieces of Biohive, where we really want to position ourselves within the ecosystem to help out on some of the core initiatives. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. If they're pertinent to the conversation, we'll try to address it as we move through, and then we'll leave some time at the end so we can really dig into those questions.
You're on mute, Jared.
I did the mute thing. There it was. Caitlin, thanks for the introduction. I appreciate it. So yesterday, I think as most people on this know, we launched the Biohive. This is an effort that's been in the works really for many years, but has come to fruition over the course of the last 10 months or so with the help of many. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But before we do, Caitlin, I'd love to just show some of the momentum that we have. So 24 hours in, what does this look like for us? And I want to walk all of our viewers through a handful of these things. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to pull this up. And I want to start actually here, not with the screen I had up. So yesterday, as we announced in the general session, the billboards went up. Here's our billboard in Layton. Here's the billboard that went up in St. George. You can see a couple of different messages here. Third largest industry in Utah. I believe this one said fastest growing life sciences hub in the nation. And then up here says 2012 through 2019. Here we are in South Salt Lake. Here we are right on the exit in American Fork, greatest snow and greatest innovators on earth. And then a freebie that we got out there in Tooele, third largest industry in the state, again, repeated. So these are the billboards that went up yesterday. There's 6 of them across the state, and they will be up for the next few months. We'll be changing locations as we move forward. But the goal of this is to start to share the message within our state as to what the Biohive is, who you are, who we are collectively, and to drive that message home that Utah is the home to a substantially sized life science hub. This is what the goal of the Biohive has always been, to get the brand out there and for anyone and everyone to use it really however they desire. And so again, it's free to be a part of the Biohive. You literally go to the website, biohive.com, download the logo and the toolkit, and you can use that to help promote your own business. This is what the Gateway has done. So everyone remembers the Gateway Mall. They are now rebranding as a life science center, and this is their initial toolkit, or their initial pack, their brand book, I guess is what they call it. So there it is, Biohive at the Gateway, with the logo right on the first page. Second page, where lifestyle meets life science, then talks again about the Biohive and what's taking place here, then goes into some statistics around life sciences. And I won't take you through this entire thing, but I show this to you because this is an example of what one organization has done. Just by simply using the logo, they're able to integrate it into their own business as part of their messaging. And in so doing, they start to connect all of us who are participating in this effort. Really quick, I think it's worth the time to just show maybe the first 30 seconds of their new video. I love this. I think you guys will as well. So we'll hit play.
Primely located in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City is the Gateway, a dynamic mixed-use lifestyle destination that is at the epicenter of Salt Lake City's rapidly emerging healthcare corridor, the Biohive. Representing the innovative life science and digital health sectors of Utah's economy, the Biohive includes more than 1,000 companies in the space of biopharmaceuticals, medical devices, diagnostics, genomics, biotechnology, health and tech, and digital informatics, attracting a diverse and highly educated workforce from all over the country. With this unparalleled investment in technology.
So we'll stop it there. You guys can go to the Gateway's website later today. This will be announced here shortly. They're going to send out a press release this afternoon about it. But ultimately, this is just an example of one group. So the Biohive is not the Gateway is not the Biohive. The Biohive represents our entire ecosystem, of which the Gateway is part. And so by bringing that forward into their messaging, they're sharing the story of us, the story of that broader collective. So I want to show you a few websites that added the Biohive logo to the bottom of it. You might recognize them as Chris's and my companies. If you've done this with yours as well, please send it to us. We'd love to highlight you in the future. But here's recursionpharma.com. You can see that they've put the Biohive logo in the footer of all of their pages with the text, proud founding member of Biohive, the fastest growing life science community in the nation. Here's what Ionic Sciences has done. We're just saying, hey, we're proud to be part of the Biohive.
Jared, it looks like you all kind of won there. That looks better than ours.
Does it?
Yeah, I think we're going to need to redo ours.
That's okay. It's a great start, Chris. And here it is on Cibus Biotechnology. So again, consistently referencing this. Salt Lake City sent out a press release regarding an article, and they put it on Twitter today, how Salt Lake City is building a world-class healthcare innovation hub. We hope other cities will do the same, but this talks about the value of a life science corridor and the work that they're doing. And I just want to highlight this tweet just to the right of the screen from Salt Lake City Economic Development. So it says, what has been years in the making for Salt Lake City, talks about the life science corridor, and then down at the bottom, #Biohive. That little hashtag right there is incredibly valuable to the broader community. Those of you who are on Twitter, there was a lot of interaction on Twitter yesterday regarding Biohive. There was a lot of interaction on LinkedIn. There was a lot of interaction even on Facebook. And so those things all, again, connect us together and help us share the story collectively. So that's what I wanted to show as far as sharing my screen. I'll go ahead and stop share. and come back. But ultimately, we want as many people within the ecosystem as possible to do this, to participate with us in this way, to link back together, to let us know if they're not listed on the map or if something should be updated on the map on our website. Actually, let's take the time to just walk through that really fast. This is going to take an extra 2 minutes here, but I think it's worth doing. So I'm going to go to biohive.com. This is our website. Scroll down, you'll see many of the same statistics and information here that's in the toolkit, but I want to take you to this spot specifically. So this is where you can download the toolkit, the logo set, which you can give to your graphic designers to implement in any sort of media that you're working on. And this is where you can request a banner. Again, these banners are free. If you'd like to donate for the price of the banner, we'd love that, but by no means is that necessary. The goal is to get one of these banners in the front lobby of every business that is a part of the life science ecosystem across the state of Utah. And I mean across, so from Logan to St. George, that's where we want these placed. We've got a bunch of them on order. We're ready to start giving those out next week. So if you want one of those, please click request a banner, little form will pop up. We don't ask for a lot of information and we'll make sure that we get that to you. The toolkit itself is meant to be a resource to be used. So it's not just an explanation of what the Biohive is, although that's here. It's also an explanation of how you participate. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to scroll through a lot of the information. This tells the difference between BioUtah and Biohive. Previous to that were stats on the industry, but I want to take you to page all the way down here, and I don't know what page number this is, but towards the bottom of the toolkit. This lays out for you all of the ways that you can start to participate. The hashtags that we have, that we're asking people to use, Biohive mentality. I saw that one floating around on Twitter last night, which was great. Welcome to Biohive, which is part of our billboard campaign, which will soon add airport advertising to that. So as people are traveling through, hey, welcome to Biohive. We're so glad you're here. This is a little bit of information about us. And then 2 pages after that is where we give you text that can be used. So we want to make this as simple and as easy to use as is possible. So this text is actually meant to just go as an explanation as to what the industry is or what the Biohive is at the bottom of every press release. So a couple of press releases went out today with that, including the gateways. One of my companies is sending out a press release early next week. I was approving that this morning and said, hey, where's the Biohive text, which they quickly added. And then we also give descriptions for social media. So here's some text that can be utilized in social media as well. And all of this is an effort, again, to bring us together, to make it as simple as possible, to immediately have your company integrated in with the broader collective of the Biohive. And I think for the most part, Caitlin, that covers it.
I appreciate that, Jared. I think that's a great overview of how people can get involved. And I just want to say again, for emphasis, this is really for the entire state, not just Salt Lake City. There have been great conversations today in other panels and conversations about how we really want this to be for the entire state of Utah and alignment for everyone. And so, we will bring these banners to companies all over, and we want to see that map is very focused on Salt Lake City right now. Please go in there, tell us what your company does. We just need, bare statistics to get you on the map. So we want to, this is just beginning, and we need your help and engagement to really start developing it more. So now we're going to talk about really kind of some of the initiatives beneath promoting and highlighting industry accomplishments and really what that means. So the first thing we're going to talk about is recruiting the best and brightest, and how Biohive can help with that, and how shining a light on the accomplishments of the industry can really help us in recruitment. So Chris, I'm going to pass this to you. Tell us why that is important.
Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. Thanks, Jared and Kelvin. So I think, as all of you know, there's incredible talent here in Utah. We'll talk a bit more about the continued development of that talent in a minute, but there are certainly gaps. And as we each build and grow the companies that we're a part of, we're going to have to access talent from not only other areas of Utah, from other states, and even from around the world. At Recursion, we're just under 200 employees now, and about 40% of our team we actually relocated from out of state into Utah, and we have 6 people on our team, right? So like almost 5% of our team are internal talent team and recruiters, which gives you a sense of how much effort we put into trying to attract people here. What we always say is that if we can get somebody on an airplane and get them here, then we have an incredibly high conversion rate. But frankly, just like I had preconceived notions about Utah and Salt Lake City before I moved here, I had a very compelling recruiter in my wife, and so I didn't really have a choice. But for many folks who are thinking about taking a job here, they don't know everything that there is to offer here in Salt Lake City and Utah. They don't know about all the great outdoor elements, or in some cases, that's all they know about. They've been here to ski, but they passed all of the great companies on their way up to the resorts. And so this Biohive branding initiative will give us a bit of a voice, right? And as Jared mentioned yesterday, we've seen what Silicon Slopes has done in terms of putting the tech industry of Utah on the map. And I think folks are much more open to, I'm sure they're much more open to getting those recruiter calls to join a company here in Salt Lake or in other parts of Utah because of the work that Silicon Slopes has done. And frankly, it's even helped companies like us in the life science space put Salt Lake on the map. And so we want to do our part to help put Salt Lake City, the rest of Utah on the map, and make sure that people know about all the great life science work that's going on here, all the fantastic companies. And I think you'll see a lot of what's on the billboards. You'll see a lot of what we put on social media, really directed at kind of a more national audience, trying to get people to kind of change their mind about how open they might be to considering coming here.
Jared, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'll say that I also had a very compelling recruiter in my wife. So a few of us have been brought here for that, and love Utah. It's fantastic. And the message really should be shared more broadly. And this is an effort to do that. We have a lot to offer, both just in the technologies and the innovations that are coming out of our amazing companies, as well as the state as a whole. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things to say about Utah is getting people here. There is a reality over perception in recruiting talent. And I think, Chris, you're exactly right. Once you get people here, you can dispel whatever they have been told. And, I think in Utah, we are negatively recruited against in a lot of spaces. And so Biohive can help overcome a lot of those perceptions that we face. And we can really use this as a tool to showcase the rich fabric, not only within our life science ecosystem, but also our broader community. We have a lot to offer here, both in terms of industry and lifestyle for a lot of people. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here. So now we're going to talk about how Biohive can help raise critical funds. We want to sustain the momentum of venture capital and investment coming in to promote life sciences. So what role can we help bring in outside capital into this ecosystem? Jared, talk to us about why this is critically important right now, but also moving forward as the industry expands.
Yeah, I mean, capital is the lifeblood of our industry, right? We're infrastructure intensive. We have really long timelines compared to a lot of other industries, whether you're talking about diagnostics or pharmaceuticals or devices. We're going through trials. I mean, everyone on this panel and all of the attendees, I'm sure, because of being part of this conference today, you know that all too well. This is a battle, and it's a consistent fight for funds, and we're competing for those same funds that all of the other life science companies and life science hubs across the country are competing for. But I think there's something that we saw, and to again, give credit to Silicon Slopes. One of the things that we have observed there is that by uniting under a common brand, they were able to collectively share their story. And I personally have experienced it, meeting with venture capitalists where they talk about Silicon Slopes, and I say, absolutely, there's a lot that's happening here. And the problem there is that doesn't directly relate to life sciences. And so this is an effort to say, by us telling our story again, by messaging that, to Chris's point, to a more national audience, we believe that more venture capitalists and investors will start to look here directly, say, oh, hey, I need to pay more attention to what's happening in Utah. Now that's already happening. It's continued to actually increase in the amount that's happening, but this is attempting to capitalize on that, what's already taking place, and make sure that it expands. I have this anecdotal story on this, so I'm going to share it. I was just telling Chris and Caitlin before the call started, or before this session started, I actually had some investors in my office earlier this morning, and they were in the conference room, and I said, hey, I said, let me show you this video. And I pulled up the video that we played during the general session yesterday that's available on biohive.com. And I just pulled it up and threw it on the conference room TV and let it play. We didn't even play the entire thing. But ultimately, their reaction to that was really incredible. Their reaction was, oh, wow, there's a lot happening here. And when they hear the governor say that, and the mayor of Salt Lake say that, and various CEOs, and the head of the World Trade Center, and the head of EDC Utah, we go kind of through that list of individuals who are in the know, and they're sharing that message collectively. That was really powerful this morning. And the thought process for them was, wow, there's a lot happening here. We need to make sure we're a part of it. And that's the message that we want to make sure we're sharing consistently. We believe that helps us bring capital, or bring investment rather, into our companies. Yeah, I really think it's going to be beneficial to us.
I think that's great. And would you like to share the joint initiative we're doing with World Trade Center Utah?
Yeah, this would be a fantastic time to do that. So World Trade Center Utah has been a fantastic supporter of ours. And I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to pull this up. So this is the email that went out from World Trade Center today to thousands of people across the state. It says, World Trade Center is proud to join with BioUtah and many community leaders in supporting the launch of the Biohive. Big Biohive logo right at the top. And then when you scroll down, this is what I want to get to. This is their press release, goes through a fair number of items. We're going to scroll. Whoops, I must have passed it. Here we go. There it is. Biohive helps Utah life science manufacturers raise startup capital. So this is actually a joint effort between the Biohive and the Utah World Trade Center. And it's being conducted with Caitlin and with David Karlbach at the World Trade Center. And what's happening here is they have contracted with a group in the name of the Biohive to actually help our younger companies within the life science industry perfect their pitch. So companies can apply to this. If you're interested, you're welcome to email Caitlin at biohive.com or get in contact with us through our contact form. But if you're interested in this, get in touch with us sooner rather than later. And we'll be picking from the people who get in touch with us. We can't do it for everyone, but we can do it for a number of them. And we will have this group that's been hired by the World Trade Center work with your company on how to put together your slide deck, your financials, all of the modeling, projections, and the like, and then work with you on how to give a really effective initial pitch. The goal of this is they actually pay for people who are traditional investors, traditional life science investors on the other side to critique you through that process, to critique your business plan, to critique your pitch deck, all of those things, in an effort to make sure that when you actually go out to investors, that's as buttoned up as is possible. And this is one of those ways where, again, through this public-private partnership that we've created with the Biohive, a public entity with the World Trade Center is working with us in the private sector to make sure that the private sector has a better path to success.
I appreciate that overview, Jared. And I think it really highlights how the Biohive wants to be a resource for founders and entrepreneurs who are ready to disrupt industry, but might not know how to get access to that capital, might not know what resources are available to them. So we can really be a connector and say, look, you can partner with all of these folks. All of these people are here to back you, support you. These VCs, either in-state or regionally, might be good folks to reach out to. This platform that we are partnering with World Trade Center Utah is a perfect example of giving them access not only to mentorship, feedback, but also to potential capital. So we want to be able to not only help support the medium and large corporations and businesses by highlighting their very big accomplishments on a national and global scale, but also being there for, you know, the entrepreneurs for the next generation that are going to really give that innovation and ultimately, you know, create more jobs and industry for Utah in the future. So let's move on. Chris, this is for you. Diversity and inclusion is also a cornerstone of Biohive. Why is this important? Why does this mandate fall under Biohive's banner?
Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. So I think it boils down to two things. The first is that it's right. So that's just enough said on that one. And the second is that it is demonstrated through research that more diverse companies are more successful. Bringing in alternative perspectives helps you create a more resilient, robust business. And so there's lots of, I would say, kind of secondary and tertiary reasons, but I think those two are at the top. I hope many of you tuned in this morning. Sarah Jones from Inclusion Pro gave a great presentation, and it was fantastic to hear, you know, ways that all of us can start thinking about prioritizing diversity and inclusion as leaders in the industry. Ultimately, we talked earlier about you know, recruitment, and I would say that these things go hand in hand. One of the biggest challenges we have with recruitment are perceptions about a lack of diversity in Utah. And as you heard Sarah say, Utah is a lot more diverse than people think. And if you push hard, I think you can find you know, fantastic talent, diverse talent across the state. But ultimately, you know, we can always make things better. And so we've found that you know, becoming kind of a new generation of life science company and recruiting fantastic folks from around the country, especially this next generation of millennials, of which I am not one, just to be clear. According to the Time magazine definition, I'm slightly older than millennials. I have that debate regularly with folks. But, you know, for that generation of folks, this is not like a want, this is a need. This is absolutely critical if you want to be competitive in the market. And so I think it behooves all of us to make this a priority. If we all work on it together, it'll be a lot easier than if only a few of us push on it. And I'm really excited about what we're seeing in the space. I'm really excited to see more and more diverse founders and employees of life science companies throughout Utah. And across the whole country, right? I mean, we're all part of the same industry, whether you're talking about the state or the national level. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful for everyone. Jared, do you have any comments? Caitlin, any comments?
I just have one, and I'll just say, there's a simple 2-word answer to this. It's right.
Well, I do have to say that I appreciate having worked with both of you for a little while here. I think you both truly are putting a line in the sand and saying we're doing this, and we're the ones that have to kind of step up, being the, as you guys say, the middle-aged white men in the room that need to kind of push the banner forward. So I do appreciate that. I thought Sarah Jones, that was a great panel that she had. And I would just add that, you know, having more voices at the table, obviously we all win. And, you know, we want to endeavor to look more like the patient population that we serve, you know, in life sciences, and do this not just because it sounds good, but because ultimately it will lead to better decisions and then better outcomes for our patients. So Jared, let's go back to you. So we are ultimately tasked with promoting and highlighting our industry accomplishments. And that will help attract new companies and help empower the companies that are here, maybe to expand, maybe to grow, maybe just to cheer them on. So how can Biohive do that? We've talked about some of the marketing and media. What else can we look forward to? Can we, let's talk about a little bit, maybe for some of the people that are here, maybe they weren't listening yesterday. This might be a good time to talk about some of the partnerships we have, how maybe Biohive can stand in specifically for life sciences, just be an extra support to some of those public partnerships that we have.
Absolutely. So first of all, if I could break the Biohive down to just the simplest form, the Biohive is telling the story of us. And that's a term that I use a lot. And it's not one that I think necessarily is easily explainable. I mean, people say the story of us. So is that us as the entirety? Is that us of the individual companies? And I would say it's all of the above. And I would say that telling the story of us is telling the stories of the innovations that we're bringing to the market. It's telling the stories of our desire to help the patient population. It's telling the story of the person who's working the kitting line in a company like Spectrum, who is a new entrant into the industry, who just went through a workforce program that taught them how to work on that line. And now they have a job and they're succeeding, right? They're entering that next phase of life. It's telling the story of the PhD who had an idea and had a vision for something great, or the master's student who was going to go do his PhD, who dropped out to start a company. Whatever it is, those are the stories we want to tell. And I want to be really clear on this. It's more than just telling the story of, hey, I have this product, it's going to hit the market next month. Don't get me wrong, we want to tell that story. But that's not at the level I want to be at with this. As I've talked to, you talked about some of the public-private groups that are backing this, as I've spoken with them, I've said, I want to tell the stories of the individuals, because at our most granular form, we are a collective of individuals with a common cause. And whether that cause is we're in pharma, or we're in diagnostics, or we're in devices, or we're in manufacturing, or we're services, whatever it may be, our cause is we want to help the life science industry grow and expand here, because we believe in what we're doing. And so those are the stories we want to tell. So how does that work? So it works like this. Communicate with us. Tell us you want a banner. Let us come down into your facility, put the banner up. Notice the theme there with the banners, and then tell us your story. Let us write about it. The website's been set up. It's set up so that we can immediately start putting on blog posts to start to tell some of these stories in the future. You know, I hope that we enter into the world of putting together small, short videos about this, but we want to put it on social media, and we want to highlight both the innovations of the company that you're working with. We want to highlight the impact that you're trying to make. We want to highlight where and when you are putting diversity first. We want to highlight the stories of the individuals who are changing their lives by being a participant in our industry. Those are the stories that we want to tell. And then we believe that by doing that collectively, by combining those into a single place, ultimately that is telling the story of us. Now, Caitlin, you asked about sponsors. And we keep talking about this public-private, and I think this would be a great time to talk about those who are participating with us. And I want to make sure I don't forget anyone, so make sure you help me along here. But we're governed separate from BioUtah. So we're under BioUtah. We work with BioUtah. We're actually operate as a subsection of them, but we're governed very separately. So we actually have members of our governance group that are pulled directly from industry. There are 6 that come from industry, and there are 5 that come from the public sector. This includes someone directly from the governor's office, the mayor of Salt Lake, the head of innovations for the University of Utah, the head of EDC Utah, and the head of Utah World Trade Center. So this has been set up so that there was always that public element and the private element in every decision that we make moving forward, to make sure that we're educating, we're aligning both from the state to the industry and from the industry to the state, so that we're perfectly aligned and as connected as possible in how we're sharing our message, how we're sharing our story, and those things that are directly impacting us in real time.
I think that's great. Chris, do you have anything to add there?
No, I think, Jared really hit on all the points. Very thorough. Appreciate it, Jared. The one thing I'd just add is, I think as Jared mentioned, there's a catalysis that goes along with telling our stories, right? And, one or two stories coming from one or two of our companies kind of headed out across the nation does some good. But as we start to share these stories, they actually build on each other. And ultimately, it's very helpful for all of us to tell each other's stories. And so, as you're out, we'll be wearing Biohive shirts when we go to Boston and when we go to San Francisco. And I'm hopeful that everybody is doing that same thing. If we show a little pride in this local hub together, I think we'll make, we'll make a huge impact. And frankly, an impact that will be much greater than just the additive nature of the efforts that we all do individually. So I think Jared's exactly right, and I hope folks see the potential here, that if we all work together, we can create pretty incredible momentum that will help all the companies, move forward.
I think you're totally on point there, Chris. And speaking of that momentum, with the industry growing so fast, workforce development is a key thing. How can we keep pace and make sure that those additional resources are met to ensure that all these companies have the talent they need, that companies that move in state aren't going to be met with barriers? And how can Biohive support?
Yeah, so I think we're blessed with fantastic universities already, great community college system here as well. And I know that BioUtah has been pretty active in working with those various groups and promoting interactions with the legislature to make sure that we're training the next generation of folks to join our companies. And certainly at Recursion, for example, we've got a subset of our company where we're going to need to hire 20, 30, 40 people in specific areas over the coming years to run our R&D automated discovery facility. And some of these are programs that we think we could, really build together with Biohive, with BioUtah, with the community colleges and the universities. And so I think there's already a fantastic base. But ultimately, there's not enough, right? There are certain pieces that we want to build, and I know all of you want to build, where despite the great talent here, we just need more of it. And so I think Biohive will take a lead along with BioUtah to help, convince the legislature and others to continue doubling down on education, and also to help guide our educators. I mean, we've got one of our scientists is actually now, or several of our scientists are now actually like adjunct faculty at the university, and they're certainly teaching, which is fantastic, but they're also helping to try and craft and guide the university towards making more of the kinds of folks that we're going to need at Recursion. And I'm hopeful everybody gets involved in that conversation. And I think Biohive can be a mechanism by which we bring all these stakeholders together, along with the great work from BioUtah, and make sure the conversation leads to the creation of the right educational training. Jared, Caitlin, comments?
I just have one, and that is I would just highlight that there's a couple of people. So to Chris's point, we're blessed with really great universities, great community college programs. There's a lot already working to our benefit here, but this has been an interesting conversation over the last 10 months. And there's, I've been in conversations where Mayor Mendenhall from Salt Lake City, the University of Utah, Keith Marmer, and others have been present where they're talking about this workforce issue. And I know that it's something that the state is very interested in making sure is promoted as well. And so part of this, by branding and telling, again, I'm going back to that, but by branding and telling our story more effectively, even locally, even on the local level within the state, we increase the odds that people are going to go into those programs at those universities. We increase the odds that those programs receive the funding that they need, right? Because there's a lot of pieces that have to come together. So by us coming together, sharing our message in a united front, we increase the likelihood that we're going to be able to pull more talent out of our own colleges and universities here at the local level, which I think is critically important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think giving a voice and promotion, giving students a reason to stay instead of look outside for jobs will be huge. I think when you're in college, you're not really thinking that far ahead, but if they can be branded and hit in their world on media or coming to their campuses, giving them the voice, really building on the work that BioUtah is already doing, we will definitely be moving the ball down the road.
Well, and Caitlin,
yeah, go ahead.
if I could just add to that, another shout out to Silicon Slopes. This will make, I think, number 3 for the meeting today. But I mean, how many programmers do we know who go to a Utah school who say, I need to go out of state for a job, right? I mean, there are jobs available for them here locally. They're able to stay here, live here, in a community that they really enjoy. It's really a powerful tool to share that message and make sure that we're increasing the likelihood that both people stay and that those universities have the programs that we need and the funding that they need to make that possible.
I think what Biohive can do as well is highlight the work universities are already doing. The University of Utah has a lot of the programs, the bench to bedside. We have a lot of STEM programs in our K through 12, a lot of different educational opportunities in different areas of the states that might fit their population better. Biohive might be able to give a voice to some of those programs that are already going on. And in life sciences, we're very fortunate. We have a thriving manufacturing that backs our industry. So we have, looking forward, a lot of opportunities to kind of plug in jobs from line workers to lab techs to PhDs. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for wages that are 50% higher than the average Utah wage in every funnel of the workforce. So we can look forward really in every level of economic opportunity for the state, which is really encouraging, I think, for us. So there's a lot of challenge ahead, but I think there's a lot of opportunity in life science, particularly. That pretty much wraps up our section of the initiatives, but I think kind of to put a wrapper around what we've talked about, really, I think what we want to do here is by giving a voice and highlighting the accomplishments of the industry, really we want to move things forward for life sciences and healthcare innovation and expand opportunity through a lot of the initiatives that we've talked about. Not that we can guarantee any of these outcomes, but if we can expand opportunity, especially as this industry expands over the next decade, we will be definitely meeting the burden that has been set to us. So do the two of you have anything to add before perhaps we jump over to the Q&A?
Go for it, Jared.
Yeah, I don't have anything prior to Q&A. I mean, we do have a question from Mike Alder that we should answer. And then if anybody else has questions, we can jump into those. Mike has asked the question, how can universities be more involved? Again, universities, just by your sheer nature, you're part of the Biohive. And so, Mike, I believe you're with BYU, if I remember right, and would be great to have a few of these banners down around the campus. Love to have some up at the University of Utah and all of the other schools as well. Again, this goes to promoting to your students that these opportunities exist. I know that there's a number of opportunities within some of these companies if we can communicate more effectively with each other for internships and for work programs and the like. But Mike, I think for that particular question and in regards to that, let's you and I and Caitlin have a discussion in the near future about that. And perhaps Caitlin can reach out to you and we can kind of take next steps. But I think we've integrated really heavily with the University of Utah really early, and we'd love to spread that out.
Absolutely. I think we are so fortunate to have so many high institutions, and we want to be plugged in with all of them to make sure that we're highlighting the accomplishments and how they're all meeting the challenges that we have ahead. So Mike, I will definitely reach out. If anybody else has questions, please put them in the Q&A. Otherwise, we will be wrapping up.
I'd say we're in the clear.
7 seconds of silence. We made it.
All right. With that, we really want to thank everyone. I think what you can take from this is that we are officially launched. Hopefully you know where to navigate for more resources, how to officially make yourselves more part of the Biohive, engage more, get a hold of us, let us share your story, and also connect with us so we can help create more opportunities with some of these initiatives that we have shared with you today.
And
Chris and Jared, anything else before we go?
just a thank you to BioUtah. You know, Kelvin and BioUtah have been supportive of this from the very beginning. I mean, I was having discussions with Kelvin, you know, in the early months of the year, and we were talking about this idea around a brand, and the city had gotten involved, the university and World Trade Center. A lot of groups were starting to come together for this effort, and BioUtah has supported this at every step along the way. And just, it's great to be housed within BioUtah so that we're consistently aligned in our messaging and in the efforts. And it's always great to work with Kelvin and his great team.
Absolutely. And what a great event. This has been, there's been great conversations. It's exciting to get the alignment and have the launch this week among so many good discussions in the industry. We are very lucky to have such strong leadership within life sciences. So we hope everybody has a great day. Please tune in to the rest of the discussions today and tomorrow. And if you have any questions on Biohive, you can email me directly, caitlin@biohive.com or info@biohive.com. Please check out the website and the resources and follow us on our social channels.
Perfect.
We want to thank our team here today explaining Biohive and how we can all be more involved. As has been said, we've been working on this for almost a year. And as with any new initiative, it's going to take some time to build, but it will build because this is an exciting initiative. We have the resources, we have the enthusiasm, and we have the reason to move forward with it to help our industry in general. BioUtah has limited resources, and Biohive has brought new resources to the table, including Caitlin, who will help us to move this initiative forward, and we look forward to working with her. You have her contact information, but if you don't have that, you can contact BioUtah directly, and we'll be happy to put you in connection with Caitlin and to help you with your involvement with Biohive. And expect to see much more coming forward in the coming months and year as we move this initiative forward and we are able to cultivate ideas that come from you to help us make this even better. So thank you for tuning in today. We appreciate it. I saw we had Christian Iverson from Utah State and Mike Alder from BYU on with us. And we definitely will be in touch because our universities are part of the Biohive, and they certainly are a hotbed for innovation. And we want to continue to promote that and help people who are coming here to understand all the resources that exist. So we look forward to having all of you as part of this, and we look forward to promoting it even more in the months and year to come. So thanks for tuning in today, and look for more in our newsletter and in other communication tools coming forward. Thank you.